Alright, well, Will Smith's assistant just shared an interesting piece of information that has stirred up a legal battle, but what other secrets is Will Smith hiding? Well, welcome to Beyond the Screen, I'm Nate, and these are the 10 bombshell secrets Will Smith's ex-assistant just exposed about him. Number 10. The Secret Son. While many know of the existence of Jaden and Willow Smith, did you know that they have a third son named Trey? Trey Smith was the product of Will's previous marriage to Cherie Zampino, and he tends to fly under the radar in the eye of the media. In 2018, Jada brought Zampino on her show and spilled the tea on the real story behind Trey, their relationship to each other, and Will's role as his biological father. For many Smith fans, this was the first time that they'd actually heard about Trey. Will recounts struggling to maintain a healthy enough relationship with Zampino for him to play the role of Trey's father figure. Trey was raised by his mom alone, growing up feeling betrayed and abandoned by Will. Eventually, Will made amends and became a proper part of his life, but for a long time he was kept hidden from public, surely leaving a stain on the family unit that will never be washed away. Number 9. Duane Martin. Making its way in the news cycle this week is of course the news that Will and his wife Jada are planning to sue Will's former assistant brother Bilaal for making claims that he caught Will Smith and his friend Duane Martin getting busy behind closed doors a long time ago. Smith was married to Jada at the time of this so-called interaction, but he did not disclose those details until about a week or so ago. While doing an interview with Tasha K, Bilaal told her that he opened the door to Duane's dressing room after not being able to find Will anywhere despite his car being parked outside of their studio, and when he opened the door he saw Will bent over a couch and Duane was behind him. A representative for Will Smith said that this story is completely false and fabricated for clicks and views. The legal action is a swift move and one made based on a fair point. One thing to have an opinion on someone, but it's a whole different thing when you call their orientation into question. So far, there is no new news on how Duane feels about this. The only news that we do have is that the suit has been confirmed and actions are being taken. The Smiths have been in the news for lots of things this year, and honestly, there's not a lot more I can say about the whole Duane and Will situation, so let's just chat about some general revelations of Will Smith's secrets from the past, shall we? Number 8. He likes to get busy to relax. While the Smiths have famously entangled with other celebrities through their marriage, Will once again shared a bit too much information in his new book, Will. At one point, he made a not-so-shocking confession. When he was younger, Will was dating a woman named Melanie, who he discovered was cheating on him while he was away for work. Smith was deeply attached to his former girlfriend and to women in general. In his book, Will writes that he will always need a woman to achieve for. Prior to Melanie, Will had only been with one other woman, physically speaking. But following the breakup, Will claims to have gone full hyena mode over the next few months, making love to anyone who consented. At first using this as a way to relax and feel better about the relationship, this eventually grew into a full-fledged addiction to the point where Will claims to have suffered a psychosomatic reaction from the escapades, which causes him to occasionally vomit when he reaches completion. I didn't need to see that in my head, but since I have to, now you do. So, number 7, orientation. In 2012, Star Magazine published an expose on Will that somehow stuck around for a while. The outlet alleged that Will and his wife were heading for divorce because of his growing bromance with fellow actor Duane Martin, which was speculated on due to the multiple outings the pair shared in a short span of time. The rumor was only intensified when Jada expressed her dislike for their friendship, saying that she felt like Will flaunts it in her face. He takes Duane out all day and on exotic vacations, while she is just sitting at home alone in her university-sized house. While it's never actually been confirmed, the fact that a lot of people have accused Will of basically the same thing makes a lot of people wonder if this whole Duane Martin thing might actually have some merit to it. Number 6, the 7-year separation. Cheating rumors and dating scandals have followed this couple through their entire relationship. Since day one, everyone was convinced that they were in an open relationship or that they were cheating on each other on and off. But it turns out all those rumors were 100% true. Ahead of the release of her new book, Worthy, Jada sat down with People magazine to share some inside information, and the most revealing was that herself and Will Smith have actually been separated for like 7 years, despite appearing to be happy on the outside. The truth was they decided to go their separate ways, emotionally speaking, quite some time ago. Since 2016, Jada and Will have been living in the same house and appearing on red carpets together, but behind the scenes, they actually just don't do things together, considering the the massive size of Will's house, it's easy to imagine that Jada just chose her own section and decorated it to her liking. She continued to say that she felt pressured into being with Will because it was mainly his idea to get together in the first place. 2 kids and 1 marriage later, and it seems like Jada has finally come to her senses, and hopefully they'll split up sometime soon because they're not a good couple. Number 5, Will Smith almost ended his father's life. The Smiths are famous for getting into way too much detail when it comes to their family history. Will Smith released a memoir called Will in 2021 that was chock full of juicy information that most certainly should have remained a secret. One of the most shocking revelations in the book would have resulted in Will spending his life in prison had he followed through with his plan. The actor explained that his father, Will Smith Sr., got physical towards himself and his mother constantly. As a child, he vowed to seek revenge for his mother and himself when he was older and capable of more. Eventually, his father was diagnosed with cancer, and Will was forced to take care of him while he was bedridden. Will saw this as the perfect opportunity to take Papa down. He wrote, "One night, as I delicately wheeled him from his bed towards the bathroom, a darkness arose within me." He then went on to describe the moment that he contemplated pushing that man down the stairs, and noted that no one would have suspected him at the moment, and it was just perfect. He wrote, "I'm one of the best actors in the world. My 911 call would have been an Academy Award level." Will ultimately decided not to end his father's life and instead took care of that man until he passed away in 2016. Number 4, Oscar's confusion. Now that all the information that's been leaked into the world about Jada herself, Will, all this stuff, there is still one major question that a lot of people have on their minds. If Will and Jada haven't been together for 7 years, why did he feel like it was necessary to defend her and strike Chris Rock at the Oscars in 2022? A lot of fans flooded social media with questions and concerns surrounding the incident. If you don't remember, Chris Rock made fun of Jada being bald, Will took him out for it, and the story. If he had been attending Chris Rock's stand-up special, who knows what would have happened. It's so good, but we'll talk about that in another list. Despite Will claiming that playing the role of King Richard had left him in an odd mental state, it really was no excuse for the way he acted, especially if he hadn't been involved with Jada romantically in years. The main point being made by some is that despite Will and Jada separating, they have remained close friends, and in that instance he was just defending his good friend, but it's still no excuse for making Marty the zebra cry. Man, Madagascar is a great movie. Will has claimed that he tried to reach out to Chris following the Oscars, but he was told that Chris just was not ready to talk, and so far it seems like neither of them have actually spoken to each other. It's either that or that Chris Rock was ready, but he knew he would fly off the handle the moment he heard Will Smith's voice. Number 3, dating Chris Rock. Ahead of the release of her new book, Worthy, Jada Pinkett Smith revealed a ton of information that were once thought to just be rumors. Now, while I've already talked about the fact that they were separated for a while, another fun piece of information that was revealed was that she actually was once involved with Chris Rock. Now, I don't know if fun's the right word to use. Maybe unique. Anyway, it's been revealed that before Chris Rock was slapped across the face by Will Smith, live at the Oscars, he actually had asked Jada Pinkett Smith out on a date. Now, when you hear that, you must be thinking, oh, hey, it was probably before they ever met. No, the situation actually took place in 2016 at the height of the first round of separation rumors, which it turned out were true. At the time, Chris either had some inside info or he must believe everything he reads online, because according to Jada, Chris reached out to take his shot. He called and said, hey, he'd love to take her out on a date, and she was like, why? He clarified and told Jada that he was under the impression that herself and Will were getting a divorce for real, and when she revealed that that wasn't actually the case, Chris was just embarrassed and apologizing profusely. Though they eventually moved past that moment, it might explain why Will Smith was so aggressive with Chris at the Oscars. You know, there's no way that he was unaware of what happened. Speaking of Chris and Will, number 2, Chris and Will were friends. Before the infamous 2022 Oscars thing, Chris Rock and Will Smith were actually on pretty good speaking terms. They weren't like best friends by any means, but they certainly weren't mortal enemies prepared to strike each other down at the mention of one of their wives. They first met on the set of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air back in its heyday, with Rock playing 2 characters, an actor named Maurice Perry and his sister Jasmine. They bumped into each other over the years, but Chris eventually starred alongside Jada in Madagascar, which I will never stop talking about. It's fantastic. I didn't know that growing up that Jada was in that movie because I don't read the credits. I'm too cool. Between Madagascar and the Oscars in 2022, things were fairly neutral, and there was no bad juju between these people. But then, suddenly, at the behest of his wife, Jada, Will felt that it was necessary to stand up and defend her name with physical violence. And at number 1, Jaden and Willow. Rumors have been flying around for years that Willow and Jaden basically raised themselves. Their upbringing was nothing to scoff at. Jaden was on track to being an actor after being in the 2008 remake of The Karate Kid, alongside martial arts and opera legend Jackie Chan, but later shifted his focus to more entrepreneurial things, developing his own fashion brand, which has garnered him a ton of success. His sister Willow opted to stick with her creative roots, however, and has made quite the name for herself in the hip-hop genre. Now, unfortunately, their behavior comes from a place of neglect. During an episode of Red Table Talk, Jaden confronted his parents, calling out their terrible parenting skills. With both being so busy in their careers, they were never home to care for their youngsters. In fact, Jada and Willow recount spending most of their childhood with various nannies and teachers, only seeing their parents between projects or if they were working with them, like when Jaden and Will were in the pursuit of happiness together. It turns out that they were well aware of the whole separation thing from the very beginning. Will and Jada must have just been waiting until the kids were financially independent and out of their house to finally call it quits, something they probably should have done a lot sooner. And here we are at the end. Those are some Smith family secrets. If more information on this whole Duane thing comes up, I will definitely bring up an update for you. Until then, thank you for stopping beyond the screen. Leave a like on the video if you had fun, and follow the channel for more celebrity content each and every day. See you next time.